Marlborough sheep and beef farmers Paul and Muff Newton produce Kumanu lamb on their Havelock farm. 20 farmers make up the Kumanu group, which is based around 4 guiding principles: animal welfare, environmental responsibility, social responsibility, and lamb quality and food safety.
The home property here is 800 hectares, 20% flats, 80% steep hill country. Traditionally run around 4,500 Romney ewes. We're back a wee bit on that now as the tailing percentages have lifted quite dramatically in the last year or two. We run Angus cows on the hills. We usually got around 100 to 120 cows. And we've taken on some leases down the valley, so we've been finishing the cattle in recent years. Well, we have got the favourable climate, really, I suppose you could have to say, the 60-inch rainfall. Property's got a great history, fertiliser-wise. We've been here 18 years, but before that, Albie Higgins put a lot of lime on over the years and kept the phosphate levels up. And this country just doesn't operate without that, really. Chris Mulvaney came up with the idea, I think, originally, and he was running stock here, or sheep for profit as it was in those days. That was something I got into because I was really keen to find some way of being able to monitor and record some of the information on the stock. And it just seemed like the ideal way to be doing it. So I must have been in that for a year or two when we got to a meeting down in Christchurch. He suggested that because we're doing so much monitoring and so on, that maybe we've got something we can market as far as the lambs go. Well, the bottom line for me, and I guess it's for the others that got involved, is really we just want to make more money from our lambs. 3 seasons now we've been killing them, and it's been with Ansco. And Ansco came up with a distributor in Holland who's been taking all of our lambs until now. We're simply doing more recording and more monitoring of our stock than is generally done with sheep. As a result, we can sort of guarantee the animal welfare, which is one of the main things for the customers. And the other thing is we've got the quite a lot of protocols with the lambs as far as how we treat them and what they've got to be eating, and things like how many times they've got to go through the yards before they actually go on the truck. And all this is related to the taste side of the whole thing, so we produce a good product. The supplier over in Holland wants more product than what we can supply. We just have to say what we can guarantee, because he needs to be able to guarantee his customers. So we're limited at the moment in that regard. But no, not everybody wants to go to the extent that we are, and not everybody wants to invest those dollars to start with. But for a lot of people that just can see that every year the schedule's dictating where they're at, and to be able to perhaps get in a position where they can have fixed price and be better off, well, it's got to be the right thing to do.
Kumanu lambs are part of stock care. You've got to be a stock care farmer before you can have Kumanu lambs. It's basically about really good data collection, recording, monitoring and measuring, because as you know, you can't manage without measuring. With the information, we know, and Paul knows where exactly they are in the business. And they make decisions with confidence. And we look at production systems. We look at the ewe flock production system, the beef cow system, lamb finishing system, beef finishing system. We do benchmarking with other properties, and then we analyse annual results. We can see what's happening from year to year on the property. You ask most farmers, how do you judge your performance? It's often scanning percentage or lambing percentage, but really you don't sell a lambing percentage, you sell kilograms of lamb or kilograms of calf, and we are measuring that, and then we look at the drivers for that. If we find that we're not up to scratch, we're not meeting the targets we've met, because we've got so much data, we can look back and see what's gone wrong. And we'll put in place a plan for the next year to make sure it doesn't happen again. It's not an awful lot of extra work. It's a little bit they do when they're doing everything else. At no time does he have to get them into condition score or weigh just for that. There are set times. You want to know what's happening pre-mating, and then at mating and the ram removal. Now, you're always handling those stock at that time, so it's just a thing you do. Yeah, it may add an hour or two to those days, but the information that they glean from it is just huge. The value is, with stock care, we were showing a huge improvement in performance on a lot of these properties, but at the end of the day, they weren't making any more money out of their lambs. So the Kumanu thing was a spin-off from that to add value to the final product. Paul had a whole lot of lambs going off here that were just going into the great big melting pot. He wasn't getting any premium over anyone else. Now he is, and that gives him a real kick, I think.
Early on, when the committee got together, it was decided that there'd be sort of 4 legs to the table. The first one was animal welfare, next one was environmental, and social and safety, food safety. So as far as animal welfare goes, that's pretty well covered with the monitoring we've done and with the vet's supervision all the time on what we're doing, so that's no problem. As far as the environmental, it was decided that beef and lamb put a lot of work into their LEPs, their land and environmental plans, so we went with them and we go through to the second stage as the minimum of a beef and lamb environmental plan. That's a requirement for producing these Kumanus. And the other thing is the social side of things. And the guys are just recording what's happening on their properties. What we're trying to maintain is a pH level that's low to, it's now pretty well established and well known that it affects the quality of the meat and it's how long it can last on the shelf when it's been chilled. So, yeah, really important that we keep the pH levels down, and one of those ways we do that is there's no dogs in the yards. And it applies to Ansco as well. I mean, when the trucks come into Ansco, they're not even allowed to take their dogs into the actual the works. So it's well known that it's only going to upset things more. Obviously, we've got to use dogs to bring the sheep into here, but we do that with all due care. And yeah, once they're in the yards, it's reasonably simple. The financial gain's the most important thing. But that comes not through just selling through Kumanu, but also the gain in production that we're getting by being part of stock here. So what we've been doing with all the development that we've been doing and monitoring and recording everything, we're able to see where we're at and see where we improve. And we've seen marked increase in production over the last number of years. Yeah, it's all graphed there. It's all on display for us to sort of. We can be assured that what we're doing is sending us in the right direction to increase production. Yeah.
This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.